let me get a view from there. And
these systems are relatively easy for a sophisticated hacker.
Hello and welcome to the first video of the audio files, where we analyze and talk with victims of harassment, trafficking, stalking, and even the uses of directed energy weapons. Today's special guest is Aimeesaudios, and who is currently an advocate for many people and victims that are in her same position. Anne has a unique history and past where she dabbled into witchcraft, tarot readings, and even spell casting. And now she's a person of faith of God, and even went to Catholic school, involved in youth group leadership, and she even worked in different sales and bookkeeping and marketing, and was involved with all the different advocacy groups that she communicates with now. As we learn about her past and experiences, Anne received an audio consultation from my company, Aimeesaudios, Subliminal Acoustic Fingerprinting, where I could capture the hidden communications inside the recordings and find out information about criminal entities. This is Anne's story, and this is her results. Hi, Anne. How are you doing today?
Hello, Amy. I'm doing all right. How about you?
I'm doing good. I'm been keeping up busy and working constantly with different clients and so forth. And you're having complications with different forms of directed energy weapons and even stalking, correct?
Yeah.
Can you tell the audience a little bit about your situation and what you've been experiencing?
Well, ever since about 1986, I've had home entry. At night, I get violated. I did kind of cover up my face a little bit. I can't see because I don't have my glasses on, but I don't know if it probably see some black. You know, they actually come in, I get punched, I get hit. Other things happen. They even cut my hair. Now this is on top. Can you see how it's different sizes and it's shaved all over? I got a bald spot there. Just evidence of what they're doing, of the actual touching. And I did get what they call the no-touch torture as well. And you found, Amy, in some of your audios that they were hitting my eyes. They were giving me a 9-volt electricity in my brain. So I suffered from that, as well as concussions from being physically assaulted. I have, they've gone after my brain a lot. They've shaken me, a lot of strangulation. Often I feel pressure on both sides of my neck, which I guess is the arteries. So I don't know exactly what they are doing to cause that, but I know it does do something to the oxygen in your brain and the blood flow.
Mm-hmm.
So I've experienced dizziness, a lot of issues with, primarily the head, but I do hurt all over, head to toe. They, of course, steal my clothes, stretch my clothes at night, steal, wreck everything I own. My house is actually falling apart. They're taking the nails out of the shingles to cause it to leak. They've worked around the, the chimney, so it leaks, and, just getting it fixed is, you do it, and a couple weeks later, they come back and they do it again. So I just don't even know what to do. At this point, I'm wondering when everything's going to start falling down on me,
Well, do you have any security camera systems? Since you talked about your roof, have you put any security camera systems up on your roof at all? Ring camera systems possibly, or even tree cameras. There are motion cameras that could be picked up or pictures that could be taken on people's trees. So if they pass a certain point, you could get photos and images of them.
I have had cameras in the past. Actually, I got my cameras before I even knew that this was happening to me. Weird thing. I'd have friends come over. I'd be sitting at my monitor, and playing a game or doing something online, and I don't see any motion from the other monitor, right? I have a knock at the door. I had one friend that would open up the door and walk in and yell for me because sometimes I couldn't hear. I did not see a thing. And I'm looking at the camera. I'm looking for her car. I'm looking for the vehicle, whatever my other friend had. Sometimes he'd ride his bike. And I didn't see the bike. Sometimes I would see somebody right at the front door, but I didn't see them walk up. I didn't see their vehicle. I didn't see them walking. I would hear other people, walking past the house, and I would go run downstairs to see if I could see somebody because I'm thinking I'm going crazy. I'm not seeing anyone on my camera. I'm looking right at the monitor. I can hear them. So I don't know what is going on, what kind of systems that they have that they can block it, where you don't see anything. I've gone out myself and gone outside and walked around, did a little dance, I know the cameras went on. I could see them go on because you could see the red, and go in the house, nothing, absolutely nothing.
But not even through the application?
No, they had right away changed my, I had a system that you could only have like one person set up. And, well, that was obviously me. So I could see all the cameras on my phone. Well, they had changed it and changed the password. So I could not change the settings on the thing. And it was one of those type of systems where you didn't have any support at all. So I can call them and say, hey, I'm having this problem. There was like nothing. And I knew that when I got the system. How would I know that someone would break into my home and change these things on me? I had no idea. Still had no clue that someone was actually breaking into my house, though things are a mess, but I'm used to it by now. Things are missing, things are moved around, and I'm thinking all the time it's me, I don't feel good. I know I have a memory issue, right?
Right.
So, like I said, I'm thinking it's me. And it took me a long time to figure out that somebody was actually doing this to me, It's something you don't want to believe. You can't wrap your head around this, That somebody is actually violating you to this extreme, wrecking everything you have, flat tires all the time, car doesn't want to start when you need it to start. Actually would stop sometimes, and nothing wrong with it when you take it to the, to the shop. So, yeah, weird stuff all the time.
Well, vehicles usually have to go by the make and model of the vehicle and even what year that it was purchased in or it was even created or made. There are different built-in sensors all the way from 2000 all the way to present date and time, where they usually started off, usually in early 2000, they started putting sensors inside of the vehicle. But there was usually only 1 to 5 different sensors, maybe 2 for the oxygen tanks, maybe the air compressor, or other different sensors like your seat belt. Now, in 2000 and 20s, usually, and up, there's over 30 different types of sensors inside of vehicles. And in 2027, it's even going to get worse. So depending on the year, the make, the model of the vehicle can determine special features and of how they disable the vehicle, how they can shut it down remotely. You would have to look up the specifications or even get an owner's manual. If you buy an owner's manual online, you should be able to identify all the vehicle components, all the different types of fuses that are used inside those cars, what those fuses are used for, along with different sensors, and even how to fix the automobile. It gives you specific information even on your tires, how much air pressure is needed, what type of oil that you need to use and place inside of your vehicle. So getting an owner's manual is always really good for any person that doesn't know much about mechanics, and it also could help you different ways to fix your vehicle or different complications that you could be having with that. Sometimes it could be just because of the age, how much a person has been driving it, the different mileage. There are different causes that can cause a vehicle to stop. It also determines on the different types of sounds that the vehicles are creating too. Any mechanical error on a vehicle makes a mechanical sound, whether it's an alternator, whether it's the spark plugs, whether it's a distributor cap that may be loose on side of the vehicle. If there's air pressure in the tire, you could hear a hissing sound. Any form of complications with the or mechanical failures always produce a sound and a tone that gives you an idea of what is occurring inside of your vehicle and why it's being forced to be shut down as well. So those are some things to keep in mind and some things that you could do to help out with that. Now, you mentioned that people were breaking into your home. We did mention security cameras already. What about any form of lock?
I've had all different kinds of locks. I have actually screwed my windows, so they're not getting in the windows anymore. I know that for a fact because I have, stuff over them, and yeah, it's noticeable. But front door, we used to jam that up, and I've got the back door jammed up, but they're still getting in the basement somehow. I don't know how. We do the laundry a lot of times, because what they'll do is they'll take my bras, the ones with the stuffing, they'll fold up, and they'll put them in the same side. No washer is going to be able to do that. It's between a couple of pieces of fabric, and yeah, that just isn't going to happen without anyone intervening. I don't know how they're doing this. I gave up trying to figure it out, because it's just too much, and even Jeff can't figure it out, so we just don't even try to talk about how are they getting in anymore. He's been here since 2019. I've known someone was breaking into my home since 2018, and it is what it is. These guys are well trained. I was told that I have an advanced team on me. Why? I don't know, but I do know that my perp, and I know who it is, doesn't like losing. He gets his eye on something, he's going to make it happen no matter what. So that's all I know.
Now, you mentioned about like the security, them entering into your basement. Are there windows inside of your basement? Have all of the latches or locks been checked on there? Are there bars, at least through any of the windows?
The windows are way too small to be able to fit through, unless they are pushing out the entire window. All right, because they're the ones that they're newer ones, so they have like a little latch. They have a big bay. The whole window itself, I mean, a small person could get through if it was not there. But but with that, the way the window, the size of it, and how it opens, there's no way a person could get in unless they're the blob, you know?
Right, right. Well, there are window locks that could help with that at least. There are even window locks that you could screw in onto the side and apply pressure on there where they don't move, and you could put them on each side of your window spaces, and nobody will be able to open or shut those windows while you're away. Also, different forms like anti-picking locks are always good as well, because if somebody tries to pick those locks, then it has an automatic breakdown inside of the system, and it traps the devices in there, allowing the person not to hack them at all or enter inside of their home. And you could usually tell when a system has been broken into from those doorknobs. They're a little bit more expensive. I think they usually cost around like $75 up at Home Depot, but those might be some extra avenues that you could possibly take to get out of your home. Now, I see that you do have aluminum and the lights going off, like a disco light. What is that in the background there? Can you explain that?
They are disco lights. I have it set to strobing. It does help a little bit with the frequency.
Okay.
I do change them or move them a lot. I have the Mylar. It does help a little bit against the frequency. Of course, it was great the first 2-3 days that I had it, but after that, they found a different way to get to me. So, but if I move the lights, sometimes shut them off for a minute, they'll turn it back on. It'll work again.
So does the strobing give you headaches at all?
I've come to be able to ignore it. The thing is like over on the other side of me, and it's in my face, but probably it does bother me a little bit, but I just ignore it,
Okay. Well, any type of advice that you found that helps with your targeting and the uses of directed energy weapons?
Remote help. I chased a guy off of me the other day. They sit in a car, my neighbor's car. He's got a car in the backyard, and it's kind of, so somebody could sit in there, and I see a little light, and I know I'm getting hit. And so I'll kind of move something around, flashlight maybe, strobing flashlight, and a remote. And when I put that thing on him, it wasn't just maybe a minute or so, and they quit. So what happens is when you use these things, if you have the strobing light, copper cone, even waving the mylar around or some shiny object, that frequency will bounce off and it will actually hit the attacker instead of coming at you, from what I understand.
Okay. Now, we did multiple audio consultations together. Did you want to talk about that at all in your experience?
Oh goodness, what do we talk about? The one thing, that Dahmer, that still gives me chills. You remember that one, right? The 500 femurs or something.
Oh,
And,
yeah.
oh my gosh, I'm like, you caught that. I mean, I live right by the waterway, and so we did have sonar that was being picked up, so they're probably using submarines as well. Um, just it's things of nightmares.
Well, a lot of that, what Anne is talking about, is I was able to identify some trafficking units that were involved with her situation, and they were into cannibals. They were selling over 500 different femurs to these different people, and a lot of people use it for making soups. They could use the femurs for different activities. They make toothpicks out of the femurs. It's just really, really disgusting how they make money off of these different types of bones. They could even sell them to colleges, different forensic science groups. Any of their torture victims that they use often are put into also compost piles as well. The compost piles, they are mulched up, their parts are brought to, and they're sold and through different soil companies, and the soil companies will end up using them on all of the crops and the foods and the different vegetables and planting trees across the whole United States. So it really is a demonic trafficking operation that Anne is involved with and part of her groups and entities that are harassing her. We also did find some murder groups as well, people that were intentionally going out murdering other people. One of the things that they were also using was called a hamburger. They make meats and hamburgers out of people, and they sell them and they distribute the hamburgers as well. Part of their trafficking operation. So this is a very satanic, disgusting group of people that are using. They're also affecting your kidneys as well, correct? Now, have you had any medical testing at all to check out your kidneys to see if there's any complications or other issues? Have you had even urinary tract infections or things of that nature that your kidneys can cause? Usually the kidneys does have to deal with urinary complications, and we were talking about this prior too.
Right. Yeah, that's what I call it the P frequency. I got that from somebody else where I will have to go, way too often, it's just and then you're going just a little bit, and it's like, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? I had to run up here, and yeah, so. Yeah, they do hit my kidneys a lot. I have not had any testing or anything done on that, no.
So because you call it the P frequency, that usually doesn't occur, but because they're attacking your kidneys, that affects your capability to go to the bathroom and how often you have to go to the bathroom, and can even be produced instantaneously. So it could force you to go to the bathroom right then and there. And women have normal complications as it is, especially if any of them had miscarriages or children. Even if you sneeze half the time, a female could go to the bathroom. And that's just an average day of life, but when you're being hit constantly with the use of weapon systems, especially onto your kidneys in that location, it does have effect on your tissues and your organs and cause additional body complications throughout your system. So that it was probably one of the key features that we caught, at least last on your last audio consultation, was them affecting your kidneys in particular. We also identified emergency signals that are being used. Now, emergency signals could be anywhere from police departments, EMTs, fire departments, weather services could be a form of emergency broadcasting signals, Amber Alert systems, like different water patrol agencies could use emergency 911. So there's multiple different services that fall under at least emergency broadcasting. Have you had trouble with any form of law enforcement, police departments?
No, actually, they're usually pretty decent to me.
Okay.
Um, no, they, some will drive by. I, especially when it was the fire and you know, those people, I knew that they were up to no good. I'd have one of them staring at me, like staring a hole through me, and they drive by really slow. How they do. Um, and it's like, okay, I'm thinking, why are you on my street? You know, it didn't look like they were stopping anywhere. So, yeah, there for a while there, I was getting harassed by the fire department. I don't know if the same people are still there or not, but yeah.
Now, a good way and a good tip for some of the victims when you're trying to prove that law enforcement or fire departments are even being involved is listen to their radio systems. They have to transmit and receive every single call. They also get forms of blotter reports. And in those calls, they give the address, they give the location, what the call is about, the incident type, and why they are going to that area. They have to report all of it. It all has to be documented. They cannot be using their resources for these type of programs and systems, and this is to inform them or ways to control the use of taxpayer money and funds so they don't get abused by this type of retaliatory or discrimination practices or harassment practices. So if you could get one of these handheld radios, you could listen to their comms, you could even go online, download applications on the phone, listen to emergency broadcast systems, radio communications, even for your local town. Every department, every division, even the FBI have their own channel on there. CIA have their own channel. They have permitted licensed radio channels that they transmit and receive on every single day. And this helps a lot of the dispatchers as well. And so you can map out, are they supposed to be there in their vicinity? And this helps out with routes, mapping situations, emergency systems, and it helps you also prove if they're involved and they're not. Because if Mary Jane down the road from your home had a heart attack, well, then they have a right to be there. It's not part of your harassment. They're doing a job. They're doing their public service and what they're paid to do to help that person. But if they're going around, no lights, no sirens, and usually they can't, it's illegal for them to use lights and sirens. This is where camera systems also come into play too, because there are things like noise complaints. You can file noise complaints. If there is no call, there is no reason for lights and sirens to be used. It's illegal for them. They're only supposed to be used in a case of an emergency. So if they're blasting their horns, you also have to realize certain rules and regulations from law enforcement as well. When they're going into emergency situations, they have to honk their horn at every single intersection, every single street. They have to make sure if they're crossing train tracks or different scenarios, they have rules and laws that they have to follow to inform other drivers on the road that they are in an emergency situation and to get out of their way. So, not all the time are these police involved. Like you said, police aren't very involved with your situation, but you have incidences with fire department. So maybe listening to those emergency broadcast stations with a radio, and like I said, you can use an application down on your phone, easy to use too. That could help a lot of people at least start recognizing patterns and be able to prove their case and situation, that they're not there to be there, they're not even on a call, and they're not supposed to be harassing you. So that could be very important information to use. Now, some of the weapon systems that we found, I know that, can you talk about some of the weapon systems that have discovered for you at all?
I know that they're hitting with different color lasers in the eyes and the head, kidneys, knees, the 9-volt battery pack. I can actually feel that electricity going through my head all the time.
Do you get electrical shocks? Does it feel like you're being electrocuted at all?
Yeah. Yeah, it does. It's like a shock to my brain. It's not terrible where you're like, ooh, but, I feel it. And, it's scary. That's my brain. I kind of need that, So, yeah.
And this is where a lot of that memory loss comes into play. A lot of victims or clients that I help do have low memory, and that is because of the traumatic brain injuries that it is causing on them. And those electrical shocks, it's a part of the weapon systems that also hit the nerves and can cause that electrical shock zapping effect that people are feeling and experiencing. That's also considered a mechanical failure as well, because if your brain is short fusing and because it's being pummeled and by electricity, in different forms of weapon systems, hers is more of the light sources. Now, she says the strobe possibly helps, and we got to find out where those light sources are coming from laser technology. Are they LED lights? Are they coming from specific areas inside of the home? And as a person travels, obviously, or is in a different spot or location or with their family members, it does make a difference on the different forms of weapon systems that are being used on people. But we've also found acoustic attacks too, like the gong, and different forms of gong sounds. And do you experience that a lot, or do you hear any of that in the background, or no, not really?
I don't hear it. I do hear a lot more frequency. I used to hear a lot of ringing a long time ago, and it's changed now to straight up frequency where you could tell that it is an attack. Like right now, I'm hearing the frequency, and probably they're talking about me because in that frequency we pick up, the voices of those criminals, right?
Mm-hmm. Right. Well, some people do, not everybody does. Some get acoustic attacks, some get harmonic attacks. Well, they're all acoustic attacks, whether they're verbal or whether they're sounds or different tones, pitches, music. They're all a form of acoustics that are being presented. Even voice structures. Even when you record, that creates acoustic sounds and tones. Your wavelength in your voice, where you carry it, where you pitch it, how you amplify it, it all creates a wavelength and a specific frequency that it transmits. and a lot of that could be connected. There are different ways to connect through, since we did find more laser technology, and you have to think laser technology are light sources. It could be any source of energy. Just because I use the word laser does not mean that it's it's a straight beam carrying you. No, these are all going to be like low energy devices. These are all going to be, they could be a form of diode. It could be a fiber optic network. It could be LED light sources. It could be any form. It could even come from a light bulb or electricity. So different forms of light. It could be solar energy. It could be ultraviolet energy. There is different forms of weapon systems that include laser technology, especially when they're built into cell phone components or into other electronic devices. Even your TV remote has a laser connected into it. That your garage door opener, that uses a laser to open up your garage. So it also produces a tone. It could, a laser that produces a tone, and it matches that tone, which allows your garage door to open. And so that is more the form of laser technology. And what I identify are a lot of the wavelengths, because each color, each spectrum on that wavelength is an idea of where that source is, whether it's long range, whether it's short range, whether it's mainly for a PlayStation or a printer, or maybe a cat toy. You had your cat up here earlier. So, was that Angel?
I actually have a remote.
Oh, okay, okay.
That was me.
Okay.
It's so hard. I'm like barely focused on anything.
So even if you don't think these acoustics or these sounds are affecting people, it creates a resonance. It could hit directly into your brain, your temple. They could do bone conduction. They could do what is called double frequency. They can transmit sounds and acoustics, and the sounds, like the voice structures and different tones that are identified, like the gong. So we also were tracking that one of them went to a military army base.
Yeah.
Did you get my notes on that for you?
I did. And but how am I supposed to know which one it is? Would it be the one the closest to me, the Detroit Arsenal, or could it be one in Flint, I think there was, or there was, 11 that you found? So.
Right. Well, we kind of do have to look closely in range, but one weapon system and drones and military planes are highly used. One, the military is contract with the major national airports. Anything, they have different types of hangars in there because the planes or the drones are so huge that they need their own hangar space. Some drones are the size of a commercial airliner or like a Boeing 57. They're huge. They can cover the whole length of a whole entire highway. And then there's mini micro drones. Some are even used as speed racers or in speed racing tournaments, and how fast they could fly and maneuver around different areas. So drone size and drone capabilities will determine if they're on a military base installation or if they're using an international airport for their landing strip and their hangar locations. Oftentimes inside of the military, when they are used, we focus more on Army. I believe that it was an Army base that was mainly, along with some Navy and nautical. So being out in Michigan, she would probably want to focus more on the Great Lakes areas that are out in that whole entire region, and also anything that is military base standard. And so that is important in order to do research or proper research. Also, the name of the weapon systems that were identified, you could do FOIA requests with those military bases and find out if they have that type of weapon system, because even if you FOIA request all the military bases, they have to let you know. They cannot hide the equipment. They know where their equipment at. They constantly move their equipment around, and it's all registered. They all have numbers on them. They all know where they are at and who also operates those weapon systems too. And you don't even have to ask for name, but you could ask for a unit, a military unit, or even a brigade, or some form of military entity that is operating those type of weapon systems for you. So when you're trying to track that down, I would focus more on instead of like a National Guard unit, I would focus on the real Army active duty stations that are involved. Because weapon systems, no matter how far, they can, depending on the weapon system, they have short range, long range capabilities with it. And each range, depending on that weapon system, could be anywhere from 2,200 miles for short range, or there are some weapon systems short range that go up to 5,500 miles. That's how far. Long distance could be anywhere from 5,500 to 9,500 miles. And that's the whole United States. You have to think from East Coast to West Coast, that's only about 6,000 miles across, roughly on average. But like even to get down from the south, the east, from here to New York, that's even about 2,000 miles, 1,900 miles. So when you're mapping, even people that use CB radios, that could cover 1,000-mile distance. So if a person is using a CB radio in New York and they cover 1,000 miles, that covers the range even from Michigan all the way down to like North-South Carolina. And that's how far weapon systems can go and travel, and it definitely depends on jurisdiction. I know I've captured a lot of stuff in different forms of Michigan, and the Great Lakes are heavily used. They have underground water stations for trafficking operations. Some of them even connect directly into O'Hare Airport, the underground water tunnels. And that's where they start trafficking the children, and they can get them on airplanes and boats, and they could go back and forth from Canada out there, all inside the Great Lakes region there. So it's pretty important when doing investigations to always map out your locations, always, even if it's the smallest information, like just the Army base. We may not have the Army base name, but at least we have a place and a location that we could start off with, something within distance, and something that you could do FOIA requests for to identify those weapon systems there. Now, we also got connections to DARPA as well.
And NATO. I think you did pick up NATO before, too.
Yes, and we did pick up NATO communications as well with some of the information that was identified there. So a lot of those could be in relation to different, and you have to remember the date and time that a person took that recording and where you were at that time when the recording took place too. Because all of that information, especially the year, it could be different reasons that NATO was involved that we don't know. There could have been training sessions that were going on with the military base installations, which often occurs too. And there are some cases and instances I've been able to trace training exercises in that area and vicinity, and unfortunately we were able to pick up their communications when that person was recording. But usually that about the full forensic analysis, not an audio consultation, because I could pay attention more to the communications. With the audio consultations, I just work as fast as I can, try to get as much information, so it's very short. Where if I'm doing like forensic analysis, I have hours to work on it, and I could get the full, complete sentences and a full picture of everything that is going on too. Now, I know we don't have that much time left to talk at all. Is there anything else that you want to talk to, let the public know, anything to reach out? I know you mentioned advocacy groups and things of that nature.
Well, the biggest thing is vote, and please vote pro-life. Don't pay attention to what party they are, because I'll tell you, the Republican Party is supposed to be the party of pro-life. They're not. We have a lot of traffickers. We have a lot of people that eat people in the house, and you just can't make this up, right? They need to be actually pro-life, and I'm not talking about just protecting babies, which is huge, but that goes from womb to tomb. If they are voting on things that are going to hurt anybody, for example, we just had something about the what is it, for the crops, the poison that they use on the crops, where the company would be protected from being sued. They actually took that to the House. Can you believe that? Anyone that voted yes on that needs to, they're not pro-life. Those are not the people that we need. If you know that somebody is cheating on their wife, husband, or girlfriend, or their chihuahua, you do not vote for them because they're a cheater and they will turn on us, right? We need to vote for people that have integrity. A solid, strong Catholic is always good. But, yeah, for the most part, pro-life. Make sure who they are. And that's it, because it's going to start with our Congress. We can do all this stuff. We can get these people arrested or whatever, but our Congress are making decisions that are hurting us. They're trying to put kill switches into our cars, people. Look at how many of these people are actually considering to do this and voting on it. I mean, that's a no-brainer. That's absolutely a life issue. That is a pro-life issue. No, because people could be exterminated on the freeway, and a lot of them, if someone decides to pull that switch. No.
Right. Well, I completely agree. Well, you heard it, you guys. Anne's last word was all about pro-life and making sure to stop these illegal surveillance crimes and this improper taking over our vehicles and our lives that our politicians are doing. So please make sure to reach out to your congressman. Tell them that you do not support this bill that is going to be passed, especially about the vehicles and the cars. Make sure that you choose a life of a children. We should not be having these traffickers and these pedophiles running around and controlling what we can do and how we could do it. We're not hurting and harming anybody. It's them that are hurting and harming this nation and the people that are involved with it. And we have to put a stop to it. This is Aimeesaudios, and I hope you have a great night, you guys.
Can
Bye.
I say one more thing, Amy?
Oh, sure.
Um, make burials great again. Because you know what? This goes along with the trafficking too. We're finding that there are so much is going wrong. Um, I know they're expensive, but get your people buried in a cemetery. Have a service. You know, don't get them cremated, walk around because you don't even know if that's really the people. How do you know some of those femurs that were going across this waterway over here weren't your loved one? And you just have ashes from a tree or something. Lord have mercy. Yeah, we need to utilize these cemeteries again and do the proper thing. It will help to cut the foot, pardon the pun, of the trafficking if we utilize the burial grounds.
Well, I'm not sure if it's just the burial grounds, but I could see definitely stop selling soil with human remains in it. If we are actually going to solve a crime and find the missing children or find the missing people that have been taken and abducted off of the streets, even, we need to start there because those human remains, their DNA can possibly be used inside of that soil. That even I know it's mainly being sold out in California right now. And yeah, California has a lot of satanic, they even have cannibal restaurants now. So you have to remember on what you're voting for and who you believe in. And you can look all of that information up. It's all facts, it's all true out there. And so make sure. And that's definitely a way to, and we need to start investigating that from a legal standpoint. They make sure that they're not donated bodies, that they're checked for people who are actually murdering these bodies and selling those bodies to those compost positions too. So that is definitely a great way and another way that we need to start protecting the people, and not only that, our own food supply as well. So thank you very much, Anne, for joining me, and God bless everybody.
God bless you, Amy. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Bye.